Ooh, lovely stuff. Thanks for joining me again, guys. You're back with OHMonster, and today I've got an RDA for you. The Indestructible by Wismec / Jabo. So, let's take a look at it, shall we? Alright guys, so here we are up close with the Indestructible RDA by Wismec, designed by Jabo. Now here's your packaging. It's not the best in the world, but hey, it keeps it cheap, and that's all good in my books. So here's your authenticity sticker, and a bit of info on the RDA itself at the back. So we pop this open, put this to the side, and underneath is your parts kit. So that's just got 2 O-rings in it, 2 grub screws and 2 negative screws. And here's the RDA itself. So as you can see, Jabo's nicely engraved into the side here. And on the side you've got your airflow. So it does have a single coil airflow option. And these airflow are not adjustable. So it's all or nothing with this. So on the top you've got your heatsink bands here. And your non-replaceable chuff cap. On the bottom you have again Jabo and Wismec engraved into the bottom of the RDA with a gold plated 510 pin. This isn't adjustable, but it does sit far enough away from the screw on the deck itself for you to use it on a hybrid, and it's peak insulated as well, so that's more than okay to use on your hybrid mods. I've been using it on one myself. Alright, so to start taking this apart, so you can take the chuff cap off, and underneath this you have a cool little feature which is your top airflow, which is adjustable, which is nice. So you can have this either wide open, so if you like a nice airy vape, or you want to vape on quite high wattage but you want a cool vape, then open these wide up, but you can go 3 or 2 or 1 at each side, or close it all off completely. So that's a nice little feature. Now here's the top deck. Pull this off. I am going to apologise about my manky fingers here, guys. They're all the screws, threads, sorry, on this RDA are pretty sharp. So apologies for the messy fingers. Right, so we can pop this out. Now, before I do that, what I will say is when you're putting this top cap back on, make sure you assemble it before you put it back here. Reason being is there's nothing inside here, no lip or anything that stops this going in. So you can keep pushing it in, and it'll just sit on the negative screws. Alright, so if we reassemble this, so you put your airflow ring back on with those notches facing upwards. You see these here. Put your chuff cap back on, and then that creates a lip around the edge, which will stop it falling all the way through the RDA. So, just makes life a little bit easier for yourself. So, pop this deck out, and this is where it all becomes a little bit different. Now, I love the setup of this build deck. That Cyclops positive post is awesome for your bigger builds, your Claptons and your Aliens and your Fuse Claptons and such. And your negative, you can just slide your wire into the negative instead of trying to feed it through a post hole. That is an awesome feature as far as I'm concerned. Now, as you'll notice, the grub screws for the positive and Phillips heads for the negative. I'm not sure why they did that. I don't know if it's just for aesthetics, but it can be a bit annoying when you've obviously need to use 2 tools to build with, but hey, it works nicely, and they're nice and chunky, these Phillips heads, and these grub screws are good quality. None of them have rounded off for me yet. There's a nice deep juice well, a lovely deep juice well. But yeah, the eye-catching one about this is just how easy it is to feed wire into here. There's no faffing around. So I'll pull this apart a little further for you guys. So, to take the positive pin out, just a flathead screwdriver. Okay, make sure you don't lose that peak insulator because you don't get a spare. Alright, for some reason they haven't given you a spare for that. And then you just simply pull it. Again, another peak insulator there. Again, make sure you don't lose that, you don't get a spare. So as you'll notice here, it's got these notches on each side of the seating for this positive pin. Now that is fantastic. Another positive pin that will not spin. I'm loving the fact that these manufacturers and designers at the moment are getting the fact that positive posts that spin are a nightmare. Alright, so that seating is not fully circular, so it will grip, so you can go to town on that positive post and it won't spin on you. Alright guys, I'll put this back together and I'll throw a build in it and I'll show you how she vapes. Alright guys, so we just got a simple 22 gauge 6 wrap, I think. Anyway, so as you can see through there in the negative, you can just slide the leads into there and just nip them with the screws, and that Cyclops positive just nips the wires in there. Not too easy to build with single wires, as you've got to really sort of use, or I had to anyway, use some pliers to hold these in place while I got a grip with the screws. But like I say, with your Claptons and your Aliens, with your flat wires as well, yeah, this is perfect for it. Absolutely perfect. Alright guys, so we'll go back out and we'll have a chat about it. Lovely stuff. Alright guys, so we've just been up close with the Indestructible by Wismec / Jaybo. Now, this is a lovely little thing. I love how this is built, nice and small. As you can see, I've got this on the simple mod. It's a single 18650 tube mod, and it sits on there quite nicely. Looks like they were made for each other, to be honest. I love it. I love this little setup. Now, the build quality of this is fantastic. It's nice, rugged, robust. None of the grub screws have threaded on me or span out, so at least the grub screws are good quality as well, so that's always a plus. So one thing that some RDAs get let down by, where it's a fantastically built piece of kit, but the grub screws are cheap, or the screws on it are cheap, and they thread or they round off, and that's a nightmare. But no, these have been fine. I've put this through the ringer and it's been all good. Now, pros and cons about this. So I'll start with the cons. It could do with a spit back guard in here, just because it is so small and the chuff cap is so close to the deck itself. If you do slightly over drip it, then you are getting a mouthful of juice. I mean, even if you don't fully over drip it, because it's got a nice deep juice well, but if you do fill that juice well up to the brim, like I normally like to do, so I don't have to drip it so often, then you're getting a mouthful of juice. Alright, so a little addition to this would have been, yeah, spit back guard. That, you know, that's the biggest one for me. The cons, if you're using smaller gauge wire, like just your single wire builds, it can be a little bit fiddly. Just because you saw in the up close, it's got that Cyclops positive post. So you do have to sort of really grip that wire, make sure the grub screw's going straight down on it, because the grub screw can shift it from left to right and it just becomes a little bit fiddly. But for your thicker gauges, like your 22 gauge or 20 gauge mainly, it's okay. But like your Claptons and stuff, you don't really have to worry about, especially with your fuse Claptons and your Alien wire, those flat builds. It's amazing for it. It fits in there perfectly and it's perfect for that kind of thing. So Alien wire just slips straight in there nicely. And I love the fact, I'm going into pros, I'll go into pros a bit later. Just the way this top airflow is, it would have been nice if it had like little notches to stop it spinning, because once you've set your airflow on the top, if you do like that airflow coming in from the top, and you tighten this down, it does have a tendency every now and again, especially if it's got a bit of juice on it, that when you just get to that last bit of tightening, that can slip. So I've just got to the point where I'll set it like half over where I want it to be. So if I want one open, I'll do 1.5, and then when I've tightened it, it's shifted just that enough for me to end up with 1. So you can work around it. It'd just be nice if I didn't have to fiddle around like that, but that's a tiny con, a real nitpicky one. Other than that, with cons, that's me really. Other than it would have been nicer if they'd have given you the option of a larger chuff cap, just because that is a bit close, so that can get a bit hot if you like to vape hot like I do. And again, I'm a great lover of Delrin chuff caps and drip tips and such. but that's just a personal preference. That might not bother many people. So it's just, it bothers me, bugs me. I don't say it bothers me, it bugs me a little bit that's so small. I don't find that comfortable, but hey, that's just me. All right, you might love it, but it bugs me, so I'll mention it. Pros are endless with this thing. The fact it's got a single coil option, great. I think you'll struggle to find an RDA that doesn't at the minute, but it's nice that they have got that addition. And that top airflow is great. I love the fact that they've got that, so you can actually pull air in and cool. So you've got the heatsink format on here, so it can cool it a little bit more. So you can vape at a higher wattage but produce a cooler vape, which is always good. The way the negative posts are, the fact that you can slide your wire in instead of having to poke it through, I found that invaluable. For the builds that I do, it's just so easy to coil this up, so easy. Love it. And yeah, that cyclone positive, although with the single coil or the single wire, builds can be a bit fiddly. With the larger ones, it's brilliant. You've got all that room to just shove your wire straight in, and it just takes it without a problem. I love it. For such a small little RDA, it's got so many cool little features that just make building so much easier. So much easier. It's brilliant. And yeah, I mean, like you see, it chucks. It's okay for flavour. Not much of a flavour chasing RDA, if I'm honest. But again, that can be all down to your build. But there's just a bit too much air, and the chuff, because you can't put a drip tip in here, so you can't sort of restrict that airflow. It is more of a cloud chasing RDA than it is a flavour chasing one. So for you cloud chasers out there, this is brilliant. And for your builders, I'd say this is absolutely fantastic. But yeah, like I said, I've been enjoying this, just chucking it on a single. I have had a play with it on the Noisy Cricket that I got just recently. And yeah, and it looks perfect on both. That stainless steel finish just matches all the stainless steel stuff that I've got. So yeah, that's pretty much all I've got for this one, guys. It's cracking little. I would highly recommend this one. There's very little wrong with it. Just a tiny little tweaks would make it perfect. The major one for me is the spitback, but everything else is subjective and nitpicky. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. That's all I've got for this one. As always, I'll put links in the description below from where you can get this and where you can get everything else you'll see in this video. Wire, cotton, mod. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Really do appreciate it, and I'll catch you later.